The night was cold, darker than usual, and the colony streets were almost empty. Broken lamps flickered weak light, and the wind carried dust through the ruins of once busy homes. In the silence, only one sound could be heard clearly, the sound of footsteps. A woman was walking, slow and weak, holding the small hand of her little daughter. Her clothes were torn, her face pale, and her body shaking with hunger. The girl beside her was no different. Her eyes were wide, tired, and full of fear. She had not eaten in days. Every step she took was heavy, as if the ground itself was pulling her down. But still she held on to her mother's hand because that was the only safe thing left in her world. The mother's heart was breaking. She had begged. She had searched. She had stolen scraps from garbage, but there was no food left in this dead place. People closed their doors. Soldiers chased the weak, and the world had become crueler than ever. She whispered to herself, just one night. Just one night of food, then maybe she will survive. Her eyes looked around, desperate, and then she saw him. At the far end of the street, under the broken light, stood a tall figure. He was not like the others. His back was straight, his face calm, and his eyes glowing faintly in the dark. He wore clothes too clean for this place, boots without dust, and he did not seem to belong here. The mother stopped walking. Fear gripped her heart. Who was this man? A soldier, a killer, or something worse? But the girl tugged her hand. Mama, I'm hungry. Tears filled the woman's eyes. She could not watch her daughter suffer anymore. She made her choice. With slow steps, she walked toward the stranger. Her voice trembled as she spoke. Please help us. My daughter, she needs food. The man looked down at the child. His face did not change. He said nothing, only watching her. The silence grew heavy, pressing on the mother's chest. Finally, she whispered the words that hurt her more than any wound. Just one night with me. Feed my daughter, and I will give you myself. The words tasted like poison in her mouth. She lowered her head, ashamed, humiliated, but what else could she offer? She had nothing left but her body, and if it meant her daughter would live one more day, she was ready to give it away. For a long moment, the stranger said nothing. His eyes moved from the mother to the daughter, then back again. The air around him seemed to hum, like a machine hidden beneath his skin. The mother felt her heart racing. Maybe he was not human. Maybe she had just sold herself to something worse than a man. But then he spoke. His voice was calm, deep, almost kind. I don't want your body. The mother froze. She lifted her head, confused. What? The man slowly reached into a bag at his side and pulled out a small package. He bent down and placed it in the little girl's hands. Food, he said simply. The girl's eyes lit up with joy. She tore the package open with shaking fingers, biting into the bread inside. Crumbs fell down her chin as she ate hungrily, her face glowing with happiness. For the first time in weeks, she smiled. The mother's heart twisted. She felt relief, but also shame. She had offered herself, and he had refused. She had begged like a beggar, and this man treated her child with kindness. She asked almost in a whisper, then, What do you want from us? The man's gaze was steady, unreadable. His lips moved slowly, and his words were not what she expected. A home for you both. With me, the mother blinked. She could not believe what she heard. A home? No man had spoken to her like this. No man had offered safety without asking something cruel in return. Her mind filled with questions. Who was he? Why would he help them? What did he truly want? The wind grew colder. The girl ate quietly, holding the bread like treasure. The man stood tall, his shadow stretching long across the broken ground. The mother's fear did not leave her, but inside her chest a spark of hope flickered. Was this stranger her salvation, or a trap more dangerous than hunger itself? The night held its breath, and the answer remained hidden. The little girl's small hands clutched the bread as if it were gold. She ate quickly, afraid someone might take it away. The mother watched her child chew and swallow, tears burning her eyes. That smile, that tiny laugh from her daughter, was worth more than her own life. But deep inside, she was uneasy. The stranger stood silent, tall against the night. His face was calm, too calm, like stone. His eyes glowed faintly as though light lived behind them. The mother's heart beat fast. She had offered her body, her last desperate bargain, and he had refused. But why? No man in this broken colony refused such an offer. Men here took what they wanted without asking. She whispered, her voice shaking. You gave her food. You don't want me. Then what do you want? The man lowered his gaze to her. For a moment it felt like he was searching her soul. His voice was deep, steady, and carried a strange weight. "A home," he said. "For you, for her. With me." The mother's breath caught in her throat. She stared at him, not sure if she heard correctly. A home?" He nodded once. Yes, her mind spun in circles. A home? No one offered homes. People only took. They took food. They took lives. They took hope. She shook her head, stepping back slightly. "I don't understand. Why us?" The man's eyes did not move away. His presence was heavy but not cruel. "Because you still fight," he said. "You still walk. You still beg for her life instead of your own. That means you are worth saving." The mother felt her legs weaken. No one had ever spoken to her like that. Not since the old days before the wars, before the colony had fallen. Her husband had died long ago, leaving her and her daughter to face this cruel world alone. Every man she had met since then had seen her as weak, as cheap as a body to use. But this man, he spoke as if she mattered. She almost laughed, bitter and tired. "A home? For us? You don't even know our names." "I will learn," he replied simply. The girl, still chewing bread, looked up with wide eyes. "Mama, can we go?" Her voice was innocent, filled with hope. The mother froze. She wanted to say yes, to give her daughter the safety she deserved. But her mind screamed danger. What if this was a trap? What if he was a soldier using kindness as bait? What if tomorrow he demanded something far worse than her body? She tightened her grip on her daughter's arm. "Why should I trust you?" she demanded. "People don't give things for free, not here. Not anywhere." The stranger tilted his head slightly as if considering her words. "Trust is not free," he said at last. "But I will earn it. Come with me tonight. See where I live. If you wish to leave tomorrow, you may." "I will not stop you." The mother's mouth went dry. His words sounded honest. Too honest. In this world, honesty was almost more frightening than lies. She studied his face, searching for a crack, a sign of trickery. But his expression never changed. Calm, steady, patient. The girl tugged again at her mother's hand. "Mama, please!" "I want to sleep inside, not on the street." Her heart broke again. Every night her daughter had slept in cold alleys under broken walls, hiding from thieves and soldiers. She deserved more. She deserved warmth, but still the mother hesitated. "If I come," she whispered, "and if I find out this is a trick, I swear I will fight you, even if I die." The man's lips curved slightly, not quite a smile, but something close. "Good," he said. "That is what I expect." A mother who fights. The mother blinked, stunned. No one had ever respected her anger before. No one had honored her warnings. This man was different. The stranger stepped aside, pointing down the street. "My home is near. Follow me or don't. The choice is yours." He turned and began walking, his tall shadow stretching across the cracked road. The night air seemed to move with him, carrying a low hum like hidden machines deep inside the earth. The mother stood frozen, her daughter holding bread in one hand and her fingers in the other. Her mind screamed danger, but her daughter's hopeful eyes whispered something else. Maybe, just maybe, this was not the end of their suffering, but the beginning of something new. Finally, she took a breath, pulled her daughter close, and whispered, "Stay behind me." Then, with slow, careful steps, she followed the stranger into the darkness. The night was quiet again, but now it carried a new weight. Somewhere ahead, hidden in the shadows, waited a secret, a bargain unlike any other, a promise too strange to believe. And as they walked, the mother could not stop asking herself the question that would not leave her mind. Who was this man? And why did he choose them? The road stretched into silence as the mother and her daughter followed the stranger. The broken colony faded behind them. No more flickering lamps, no more ruined walls, only shadows and the sound of their own footsteps. The little girl clutched the last piece of bread, nibbling slowly, her eyes curious. The mother stayed alert, her heart pounding. She watched the tall man ahead of them. His steps were steady, too steady, like a machine moving with perfect rhythm. His shoulders never slouched, his head never turned. It was as if he knew exactly where he was going, as if the night itself opened the path for him. Finally, after what felt like an endless walk, he stopped. Before them stood a structure. At first glance, it looked like an ordinary building. Plain walls, a single doorway, no windows. But as the mother looked closer, she felt her breath catch. The walls shimmered faintly, as if made of metal and light at the same time. The edges shifted, flowing softly like water yet holding shape like stone. "This is my home," the man said. The mother pulled her daughter close. This is not a house," she whispered. "It's alive." The man did not argue. He stepped forward. The door slid open with a whisper. No hands, no lock, just motion and light. Warm air flowed out, carrying a soft hum, like music buried deep inside the walls. The little girl's eyes widened. "Mama, can we go in?" "Please?" The mother hesitated. Every part of her screamed danger. Homes like this did not exist in the colony. This was something else, something beyond human reach. And yet her daughter's face glowed with hope. Could she really deny her that? "Stay behind me," the mother whispered again. Then with a deep breath she stepped through the doorway. Inside, the world changed. The floor glowed softly beneath their feet, smooth and warm. The walls curved gently, no corners, no cracks, as if they had been grown, not built. Lights drifted across the ceiling like tiny stars. The air smelled fresh, clean, free of dust. The girl laughed, a sound too rare for the mother's ears. She ran forward, her tiny hands reaching to touch the lights that floated near her head. The lights responded, swirling around her, playful, like fireflies greeting an old friend. The mother froze. "What is this place?" The man's voice was calm. "A sanctuary. A safe house. It was built to protect." "Protect?" she asked sharply. "Or trap?" He looked at her, his glowing eyes steady. "That depends on you," her heart raced. She wanted to grab her daughter and run, but the door behind them had closed, sealing without a sound. Panic rose inside her chest. "Open it," she demanded. "Let me out." The man tilted his head, unbothered. He raised his hand slightly and the door slid open once again. Cool air rushed in from outside. "You are free to leave," he said. The mother's breath caught. He wasn't lying. The way stood open, dark and empty, but her daughter's laughter pulled her attention back. The girl was chasing lights across the floor, her face shining with joy. For once, she looked like a child again, not a starving shadow. The mother's fear battled her heart. She turned back to the man. "Why are you doing this?" He did not answer immediately. Instead, he walked deeper into the house. The walls glowed brighter with each of his steps, responding to him like a living creature. The mother followed carefully, still clutching her daughter's hand. They entered a wide room. The walls shifted, sliding apart, revealing shelves, soft seats, and strange machines humming quietly. A table rose from the floor, smooth and glowing. Upon it, plates of food appeared, fruit, bread, even steaming soup. The little girl gasped. "Mama, look!" The mother's knees nearly gave out. Real food, warm food. She wanted to believe, but fear whispered that this was impossible. No one gave without price. No machine worked without power. Someone had to control this place. Someone dangerous. She turned sharply to the man. "This isn't human work. This is alien." The man's eyes glowed brighter for a moment. "It is both. Built by humans with help, but made for one purpose only, shelter." The mother shook her head. "Shelter doesn't come free. Nothing does." He stepped closer. "You are right. Nothing is free, but some things are worth giving anyway." The mother's heart pounded. His words carried weight she did not understand. Why them? Why her daughter? Why now? In the corner of the room, she noticed something strange. The wall pulsed faintly like a heartbeat. And then, as if whispering secrets, a voice came, not from the man, but from the house itself. System stable. Sanctuary secure. Awaiting orders, the mother's blood ran cold. The house was alive, it spoke, and it obeyed him. She grabbed her daughter's arm tightly, pulling her close. Her voice was sharp, trembling. "What are you?" The man did not flinch. He looked directly into her eyes. "You will know soon, but tonight. Eat, rest, and live. Tomorrow the truth begins." The mother's breath shook. She glanced at her daughter, whose mouth was already full of fruit, laughter spilling out like light. For the first time in years, her child was safe, happy, but safety from a man who commanded a living house. Safety inside walls that whispered like machines. Her body calmed, but her mind refused peace. The bargain was no longer about food. It was about trust. And trust, she feared, might cost far more than hunger ever did. The mother sat near the glowing table, her daughter asleep beside her, wrapped in a soft blanket the house had given them. The room was quiet, too quiet. The only sound was the soft hum inside the walls, like a living heartbeat hidden in steel. She did not close her eyes. Sleep was dangerous. Sleep meant trust, and she could not trust this man, not yet. He sat across the room, silent, watching the doorway as if guarding against unseen enemies. His posture was calm, but his presence filled the space like a storm waiting to break. Finally, the mother spoke, her voice low. "You are not like us." The man turned his head slightly, his glowing eyes catching the faint light.
"No," he said, her chest tightened.
The answer was too simple, too honest. She forced herself to continue. "What are you then? Not a soldier, not a scavenger, not human?" For a long moment he did not reply. Then with steady words he said, "I am human, but I am also more." Her stomach twisted. "More? What does that mean?" He leaned back, his gaze steady. Long ago, before the fall, there was a project. Humans built machines to protect themselves, machines too strong to break, too smart to be tricked, too loyal to betray. But machines alone are cold. They lack heart. So the makers gave them something else. They gave them us. Human minds, human souls bound with metal. The mother's breath caught. Her worst fear was true. "You're one of them," he nodded slowly. "I was made to protect. Not to rule, not to harm. Only to guard what is left of humanity. But most of my kind lost their way. They forgot their promise. They turned into hunters, killers, tyrants. I did not." The mother hugged her daughter closer, even in sleep. "And you expect me to believe you?" His eyes glowed brighter, but his voice remained calm. "No, belief takes time. That is why I offered you a choice. You may leave tomorrow. I will not stop you. But if you stay, you will see truth with your own eyes." The mother shook her head. "Why us? Why me? There are thousands in the colony. Why not choose them?" The man's expression did not change, but his words cut deep. "Because they gave up." I watched. I saw hunger, fear, and cruelty. I saw people selling children for scraps. "But you," he paused, his gaze piercing. "You begged for your daughter's life, not your own. You offered yourself even though you were breaking inside. That is humanity worth saving. That is why I chose you." Her throat tightened. She wanted to scream at him, call him a liar, but she couldn't. His words carried weight like stone she could not move. Still, anger flared in her chest. "So what happens now? We stay here, eat your food, sleep under your walls while you watch us like pets? What price will you demand later?" The man's jaw tightened, his voice firm. "Not pets. Not slaves. Family." The word struck her like a blade. Family. A word she had buried long ago. Her lips trembled. "You don't know what family means." He leaned forward, his voice heavy with quiet power. "I do. I remember my mother's voice. My father's hand. The warmth of home before the machines came. Those memories still live inside me. I am not only metal. I am still human." The mother's breath shook. Part of her wanted to believe, to reach for the hope he offered. But another part whispered caution. Hope was a dangerous weapon. It blinded, it broke, it betrayed. The silence stretched. Then suddenly the house itself stirred. The walls shimmered and a voice echoed softly. "Warning. Motion detected. Perimeter breach." The mother jumped to her feet, clutching her daughter protectively. Her eyes darted to the stranger. He was already standing, calm, unshaken. He turned to her. "Tomorrow came early. What does that mean?" She demanded. His gaze was sharp, glowing brighter than before. "It means others have found us. And they are not here to trade food." The mother's heart pounded. Fear rushed through her veins. She had been right. Safety was never free. The man stepped toward the door, his voice steady.
"Stay inside."
"The house will guard you." She grabbed his arm, desperate. "Who are they?" His reply was short, heavy like iron. "The ones who hate what I am. The ones who will kill to keep you weak." And with that, the door slid open, spilling cold air into the room. The stranger stepped into the night, leaving the mother trembling in the glow of a house that spoke like a living thing. Her daughter stirred in her sleep, unaware of the storm outside. The mother's heart shook with questions. Who was this man? Protector or something worse? And if enemies had truly come, would this family, he promised, survive even one more night? The house glowed faintly in the darkness, its walls alive with whispers of light. Inside, the mother pressed her daughter against her chest, listening to the warning echo in her mind. Perimeter breach. The words would not leave her ears. She moved quickly, carrying her daughter to the far corner of the room. The child stirred but did not wake, her small hand still holding a blanket of warmth the house had given. The mother's heart raced. She had lived in danger before, but this was different. This time she was trapped inside a living house, trusting a man she barely knew, a man who might not even be human. Outside, Footsteps scraped against the broken ground. Voices carried in the night, harsh, cruel, filled with laughter that did not belong to kindness. "There," one voice said. "I saw lights. Someone's hiding here," another voice answered, sharp and eager. "Good. We'll take whatever's inside. People, food, tech, doesn't matter." The mother shivered. Scavengers. She had seen their kind before. They moved like wolves, stealing, breaking, killing without thought. They hunted the weak because it was easy. The door began to hum as if sensing the threat. The mother whispered, "Please, don't let them in." The house responded, its voice calm and mechanical. "Defense systems ready." Then came a loud bang. The scavengers had reached the door. Fists pounded against the metal-like surface, but the door did not move. "Open up," one man shouted, "or we'll break it down." The mother held her daughter tighter, her body trembling. She wanted to scream, to cry, to run, but there was nowhere to go. Then the door slid open on its own. Cold night air rushed inside, carrying the stink of sweat and blood. 4 men stepped into the light, their faces scarred, their eyes hungry. Weapons glinted in their hands, rusted blades, crude guns, chains. The mother gasped. Her daughter woke, frightened, whispering, "Mama, what's happening?" Before she could answer, the stranger stepped into view. He had been waiting, standing near the entrance like a shadow. His tall frame filled the doorway, his glowing eyes fixed on the intruders. The scavengers stopped, surprised for a moment, then laughed. "Well, well," one sneered. "Look at this one. Thinks he's strong, standing tall. Let's see what you've got, metal man." The mother's heart sank. They had noticed. They saw what she had seen, the way he moved, the way his eyes glowed. They knew he was different. The stranger did not speak. He simply raised one hand. The walls responded instantly. From the floor, panels opened and strange devices rose. The house itself came alive. Lights flaring, hums growing louder, energy pulsing like a heartbeat. The scavengers froze, their laughter fading. What is this place?" one whispered. The stranger's voice was deep, calm, unshaken. "A sanctuary. You should not have come." One of the men spat on the ground. "We take what we want. Try and stop us." They rushed forward. In that instant, the house moved. Beams of light shot across the room, forming barriers that blocked the attackers. The floor shifted under their feet, throwing them off balance. Weapons dropped from their hands as shockwaves pushed them back. The mother covered her daughter's eyes, trembling, but she could not look away. The stranger stepped through the chaos with slow, steady steps as if he had all the time in the world. His arm lifted, and with a simple motion, the walls themselves extended, grabbing 2 of the men with metallic tendrils. The others screamed, trying to fight, but their blades broke against the glowing walls. Their bullets vanished into light, swallowed without harm. Within minutes, the fight was over. The scavengers lay scattered, bound by the house itself, their weapons useless, their eyes wide with fear. The stranger looked down at them. His voice was quiet, but it cut like iron. "Leave. Never return." The walls released their grip. The scavengers scrambled to their feet, dragging each other out the door, tripping in panic, their courage shattered. They vanished into the night, their screams fading into silence. The mother's breath came fast and uneven. She stared at the man, at the house, at the impossible power she had just seen. Her daughter whispered, "Mama, he saved us." Tears filled the mother's eyes. Yes, he had saved them, but the fear inside her only grew stronger. Power like this was not human. It was more than human. It was something the world had once tried to destroy. The stranger turned toward her. His glowing eyes softened slightly. "You are safe. For now." "For now?" she asked, her voice shaking. He nodded. "They will return. And others will come." "They always come." The mother hugged her daughter tightly, her heart heavy with fear and hope tangled together. She wanted to believe this man was their protector. She wanted to trust him. But the truth was clear. By stepping into his house, she had stepped into a war far larger than herself. Outside, the night grew quiet again. But the silence no longer felt empty. It felt like the calm before another storm. And deep inside, the mother asked herself the same question over and over. Had she brought her daughter into safety, or into the heart of something far more dangerous? The scavengers were gone, but their shadows still haunted the room. The mother sat on the floor, her daughter pressed against her side, both trembling though the danger had passed. The house hummed quietly, returning to calm. its glowing walls pulsing like the heartbeat of some great creature. The stranger stood near the door, silent, his figure outlined in faint blue light. His eyes dimmed slowly, no longer burning as bright as when he fought. He looked almost human now, almost. The mother's voice broke the silence. "What are you?" "No man commands walls. No man bends light. Tell me the truth, or I will take my daughter and leave." The stranger did not answer at once. He walked closer, each step heavy with meaning until he stopped only a few feet away. His voice when it came was calm but carried the weight of old wounds. "I am part of a program once called Humanity First." The mother frowned, the name sounding strange in her ears. "Humanity First?" He nodded. "Long ago, when the colonies still stood strong, leaders feared extinction. Wars, famine, disease. They believed humans would not survive on their own. So they made us. Soldiers who were more than human, but never less. Machines to protect, with human hearts to guide them." The mother's breath quickened. She had heard rumors, whispers in the colony of half man, half metal made to fight. Monsters wearing human skin. Most people dismissed them as old war stories. And yet one of them now stood before her. Her voice was sharp. "But if you were made to protect, then why is the world broken? Why are people starving? Where were you when my daughter cried in hunger?" The man's face remained calm, but his eyes darkened with memory. "Because not all of us stayed true. Many forgot their oath. Power poisoned them. They saw themselves as gods instead of guardians. They turned against the very people they were built to protect. Humanity feared them, hunted them. Some were destroyed. Others fled. I chose another path." The mother's heart pounded. "And what path is that?" His answer was simple, almost too simple. "To protect what little good is left." She laughed bitterly, though her voice shook. "Good? You think there is good left? Out there people kill for scraps. Mothers beg for food. Children die in the dirt. Where is this good you speak of?" His glowing eyes softened, but his words were firm. "It is here, in you, in her." He pointed gently to the child curled against her side. "The world may have forgotten, but you did not. You fought to keep her alive, not yourself. That is the humanity worth saving. That is what Humanity First was meant for." The mother's throat tightened. She wanted to deny him, to call his words lies, but her chest burned with something she hadn't felt in years. Hope. Still, fear lingered. "You talk of protecting us, but what will it cost? What do you want from me?" His reply was steady. "Nothing. Only that you stay if you choose. That you allow me to guard you. But know this, safety will not last forever. The scavengers will return and worse will follow. If you remain here, you must be ready." The mother's hands shook. "Ready? Ready for what?" "For war," he said quietly. The word cut the air like a blade. War. The mother looked at her daughter's sleeping face, peaceful at last, and her heart sank. She wanted only peace, only a place to hide. But the stranger spoke of battles, of storms yet to come. Tears welled in her eyes. "I don't want war. I just want her to live." "And that is why you must fight," he said, his voice heavy but not cruel. "The world does not allow peace. It must be made, and it can only be made by those who still care." The mother lowered her head, torn between fear and the pull of his words. She had no weapons, no strength, no power like his. And yet, the thought of standing aside, of doing nothing, felt like another kind of death. The house whispered again, its voice calm and patient. "Defenses stable. Sanctuary secure. Awaiting command," the mother shivered. The house listened to him like a loyal beast. Machines obeyed his will, and still, he spoke of humanity as if it mattered more than all the power he held. Finally, she whispered, "If I stay, if I let you protect us, will you promise me one thing?" The stranger's eyes glowed softly. "What?" "Promise me she will not grow up to be afraid. Promise me she will laugh again like tonight." For the first time his expression shifted, not quite a smile but something close. "I promise." The mother's tears fell silently. She wanted to believe. She needed to believe, because in that promise, fragile as it was, lived the only hope she had left. But outside the night was not silent. Far beyond the glowing walls, engines rumbled in the darkness, ships moved across the horizon, silent predators hunting the weak. And though the mother could not see them, the stranger did. His glowing eyes narrowed, scanning the distance. "They are coming," he whispered. The war he spoke of was no longer a distant threat. It had already begun. The house was quiet, but the quiet was not peace. It was the heavy silence before thunder, the kind that makes the air feel thick with warning. The mother sat on the soft floor, her daughter asleep in her lap, breathing slow and calm, unaware of the storm building beyond the walls. She looked around the strange sanctuary. Lights glowed gently across the ceiling. The walls hummed softly. The air smelled clean and safe. It felt like a dream, a place stolen from a better world. Yet her heart could not rest. She had lived too long in fear to trust safety. Safety always came with a price. The stranger stood by the windowless wall, his eyes glowing faintly, fixed on something only he could see. He had not moved for hours, silent and watchful like a sentinel carved from stone. The mother studied him, unease still twisting inside her. At last she whispered, "You promised us a home. But this feels like a battlefield." The man turned his head slowly, his voice deep and calm. "It is both. A home is only safe if it can be defended. Without defense, it is nothing but a target." Her throat tightened. "And you think this place will be enough?" His gaze sharpened, glowing brighter. "It will hold, as long as it must." The mother hugged her daughter closer. "I never asked for war. I only asked for bread." The man's voice softened. "And I gave you more. Not because you asked, but because you deserve it." Those words cut through her. She wanted to believe him, but belief was dangerous. Hope was dangerous. Still, when she looked at her daughter's sleeping face, cheeks full for the first time in months, a smile hidden in her dreams, she could not deny the truth. This place had given them something the colony never could. The stranger stepped closer. "Do you know what a home truly means?" The mother's voice shook. "A roof, a bed, a place to keep my child safe." He shook his head slowly. "It is more. A home is where fear ends, where love grows, where laughter returns. That is what I promise you. Not walls, not food, but a future." Her chest ached. A future. She had stopped thinking about the future long ago. Survival had been enough. Yet here he was, speaking as if tomorrow could be better, as if the world had not already been lost. Before she could reply, the house stirred. The walls shimmered and the mechanical voice spoke again. "Warning. Multiple vessels detected on approach. Estimated time 2 hours." The mother's blood ran cold. She gripped her daughter tightly, whispering, "Not again, not more." The stranger's expression did not change, though his eyes burned brighter. "They have found us sooner than expected." She rose to her feet, anger and fear mixing in her voice. "And you still call this a home? When enemies come knocking every night? When danger follows you like a shadow?" He met her gaze steadily. "Yes, because home is not the absence of danger. It is the place where we fight for each other, where we choose to stand together." The mother's tears blurred her vision. "I don't want my daughter to grow up in war." He stepped closer, lowering his voice. "Neither do I. That is why I fight. Not for me, for her, for you, for all who still live." Her knees weakened. She had never heard words like these before. Words not of conquest or hunger, but of protection, of sacrifice. The child stirred, opening her sleepy eyes. She looked at the man and whispered, "Will we be safe?" The stranger bent down, his glowing eyes softer than before. "Yes, because I will make it so." The girl smiled faintly, then drifted back to sleep, trusting him without question. The mother watched, her heart torn. Could she trust him too? Could she believe that this man, half human, half machine, was not her enemy but her salvation? Outside, the night was alive with distant engines. Shadows of ships moved across the stars, drawing closer with every breath. The war he had warned about was no longer tomorrow. It was here. The mother pressed her lips to her daughter's forehead, whispering a silent prayer. Then she looked at the stranger. "If this is truly our home, then I will not run. I will stand." For the first time, the man smiled, small but real. "Then you are stronger than most. And together, we will endure." The house brightened, its walls glowing like fireflies in the dark. Weapons stirred within its frame, defenses preparing. The hum grew louder, steady and powerful, like the heartbeat of something alive and ready. The mother held her daughter tightly, fear still in her chest but no longer stronger than hope. For the first time in years, she did not feel alone. And as the ships drew closer, engines rumbling like thunder across the horizon, the man whispered words that would stay with her forever. "This is your home now. And I will fight to keep it until my last breath. The night outside screamed with war, but inside those walls a promise was born. A home not just of iron and light, but of love, sacrifice, and humanity. And though the future was uncertain, one truth was clear: their story was only beginning.